Well, hi everybody. Hey, remember when I removed my decaying deck and tore down that rotting gazebo? After I removed all those materials, I was left with dozens of plants, mostly hostas and lilies. I knew I could dig them up and replace them somewhere on my property. There was just so many of them, I just didn't want to dig them up and get rid of them. Well, that's today's project. If you'd like to see how I move all these, join me right now on Today in Iowa. Well, hi everybody, Bill Burkhardt here. Thanks so much for joining me for another video. I sure appreciate it. Well, to get the project started, I first palletized all the limestone pieces that I was using for path stones. I wanted to repurpose those to another project. Next, my wife cut all the tops of the plants off, and we're ready to start digging them up with the backhoe. And when I say dig them up, I mean I'm going to take the root ball, all the surrounding soils, and these plants are pretty heavy. So my plan is to dig them up, palletize them, and then use the pallet forks to take them down to the front driveway entry of my home and replant them. And it never fails. You know, the reach of this backhoe is about 9'9" according to the operator's manual. And no matter where I park, I always seem to be a little bit short of where I want to be. But I think this is going to work very well. These are big root balls here. And I'll be able to hold 2 or 3 of them on there, and then we'll haul them down to the front of the driveway. Say, I'm going to do a few shout-outs now. A lot of people took time to say hello. Kenneth out in Petonia, West Virginia, said hello. James out in Southeast Washington State. Green Flash and his 2.5-year-old son said they enjoyed the videos. And they're down in Sanger, Texas. Thanks for checking in. I appreciate it. Derek over in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada said hello. Tom in Halliburton, Ontario. Jim up in Medford, Oregon. Chris over in Liverpool, Texas. Theo in Anamosa, Iowa. And David in Oregon, just to mention a few. Thanks, everybody. We'll look at the map and get back to some more of those in a little bit. Well, it looks like I dropped one there, didn't it? So I think I'll go look for a cup of coffee, and then we'll see what happens. My wife broke it down and loaded up. I left this in because this is true. This is so stupid. I can't believe it.
Where's the pallet?
I was so excited to go down the driveway and get this started, I forgot the pallet. That's the honest to God truth. Drove all the way down there. So anyways, I got back up here, got the pallet with the forks, and got it done right this time. And we're going to take it down to the driveway. Now, one thing I want to do is I want to take you on a ride down my driveway to acclimate you to my property here a little bit. And as we go along on the ride, when you see a green arrow a red arrow come up, that's a future project. When you get a tractor like this, you're going to find all kinds of projects that need to be done that maybe you didn't recognize before. So as you see the arrows pop up, there are future projects that I'm going to do. That was a horseshoe pit over to the left. And as we go through here, I'm going to rebuild that wood pile. Over to the right, you're going to see some arrows. Oh, I got to expand the garden. I got to change some gutter issues to the right. I got to rebuild a retaining wall over there, and so on and so on. So there I am shifting out of 4-wheel drive when I get in a hard surface. All right, down the driveway we go, and I'll put up here. I can't remember what. There's 2 more projects went by. I can't remember the length of the driveway. I'll put it up here on the screen. It's a nice ride. In the winter, it's a little challenging, but I don't mind it at all. All right. Finally, I got down here with the plants to replant, and I didn't forget them. And we're going to get set and ready to go here. Our plan is to dig a hole and either put the plant in place with the backhoe or using the backhoe thumb or by hand. So I'm going to over-dig the hole here a little bit. And, you know, I don't find myself digging on asphalt very much. You're going to see the machine slide here a little bit with that next dig. And and before I go any further, I mean, it goes without saying, I called for locates and utilities, and I know where everything is. In fact, when I did the driveway, I had the telephone line run right up the middle of the driveway, so I know where it is. So you saw the backhoe slide there a little bit. One of these days, I'll probably buy some street pads for those stabilizer legs or make my own. I checked yesterday, they're ridiculously priced. They're over $100. A piece of rubber and a block of wood, and you'll be able to make your own real inexpensively. Might be something to look into in the future. Say, while we dig along here, I just wanted to say hi to Roger over in Grand Falls, New Brunswick, Canada. He either is getting or just received a hydraulic top link. Hope you're enjoying it, Roger. Ralph checked in from Northwest Indiana. I wanted to say hi to Houndsman over in Southeast North Carolina. Houndsman, you've been a subscriber for 3 years. Thanks a lot, buddy. I appreciate that. Stephen checked in from Kingsman, Kansas. J.N. Kellogg checked in from West Washington State. And John checked in from Homer, Alaska. That's southwest of Anchorage. Dean said hello from West Virginia. Greg said hi from Metropolis, Illinois. Home of Superman. I thought that was pretty cool. One thing I want to point out is the swing arc of the backhoe is 150 degrees. That's why I can't get 90 degrees over there to the left. There's a little restriction. And the manual also points out that if you're going to operate the controls from the ground, you're supposed to stand right there where that arrow was, in between the stabilizer leg and the boom. Just thought I'd pass some of those safety issues along. I lift this clip in because you can see how we're kind of cutting those plants down, and then I also wanted to point out how rocky and clayish the soil is around here. Well, I want to start using the thumb now to pick that big root ball up there, so it's pretty easy to do. My wife just pulls that pin out and positions the thumb to where we want it, and we're ready to go. This thing's so darn handy. You can store it up out of the way, and then when you want it, it's there. Most of the time I don't use it, but boy, it sure is nice on those days when I want to pick up something like this. Once again, I had my pallet outside my reach, so nice to be able to just put that bucket in there and slide it a little bit forward. So I'm going to grab a hold of it, and then I'm going to drop it in near the hole. She doesn't want it right in that new hole there for the plant. She's going to trim the root ball up, and then it'll be slid into the hole a little bit later. It's so nice. I just can't put in a picture how heavy these things are. And at 67 now, it's awful nice to be able to just have that machine do that work for you. Very nice. And that's a perfect segue into a viewer, RJ Mack. And he wrote and said his motto around his property is, let's go get the tractor. That's the perfect example here. Let's go get the tractor and make this project a lot easier. A few more shout outs. Bulldog from Minnesota said hello. Todd over in Pulaski, Wisconsin, he wrote in, said hello. He's moving up to a 2038. Todd, you'll never regret it. William checked in from Woodleaf, North Carolina. Daryl over in Mountain Home, Arkansas. He's a new subscriber. Thanks, Daryl. Appreciate it. Tell you later, he checked in from Grizzly Flats, California. That's east of Sacramento. And a home in Wyoming checked in from Wheatland, Wyoming. Tony over in New Zealand checked in. He's going to start his own YouTube channel down there about his life in New Zealand. That's pretty cool, Tony. Let me know when you get that up and running. And Diane said hello from Maine. Diane has several acres of lawn, 3 or 4 acres of lawn to maintain. She had some questions about how I did mine, and real happy to answer any questions if I can be of any help to any of my viewers. So thanks for taking time to check in. I sure appreciate it. Well, we're back up at the house here now. This is our last trip up here. We're gonna dig up some more root balls, take them down below, and get those buried today, planted today. We have good luck with hostas around here. I've had some people tell me they don't have good luck, but they seem real hardy here. We chop them down in the fall, early winter, and boy, they pop right back up in the spring. Here's a terrific example of how handy that thumb is. I brought down a pretty big root ball, so I'm going to dig a hole for it. But first I found an old root here from a Bradford pear. We're going to dig that stump up here in just a few minutes. And it's kind of nice I can get a hold of it with that thumb down there and pinch it, pull it backwards, and get rid of it. But my plan is to dig this hole, then I'll go up and grab onto that root ball with that thumb again. Then I'll drive the tractor down, drop it down in the hole, and we'll be done. Let's see how this all works out. Note that I'm not using the stabilizer's legs for this. It's just an easy grab. I did lower the stabilizer leg on the far area because it has a step on it and it makes it easier to get on and off. So I'll just position the tractor over here, and that brings me to one point. I was worried when I first got the tractor I wouldn't be able to reach the controls with that seat there, but obviously that's not the case, and I've gotten quite comfortable with that. So I've done this several times, dropping big items into holes to plant, and it works real well. So a little hand work there, a little shovel work, and we're ready to move on. There's the Bradford pear stump that I told you about. I don't know if you've ever heard of the video channel Dave Knows How. Real good channel, and I learned a lot of my backhoe techniques from him. I like to start on the outside, find those roots, and then work my way inward and see where they're at. If you want to check out his channel, it's Dave Knows How, and he's got a lot of backhoe videos there for you to learn about. So here I just switched positions. Again, I'm trying to find those roots. There you can hear them, they're starting to break, so I'm just going to move around like that, and we'll get that out of the ground here real soon. Alright, and I'd like to get a couple of final shout outs out to everyone. Andrew checked in from, I hope I pronounced this right, Deniliquin, New South Wales, Australia. That's north of Melbourne. Thanks for checking in, Andrew. That's incredible, the amount of Australians that I receive hellos from. Thanks a lot. And then the final shout out I'd like to say is John Metcalf checked in. John wants more videos and longer videos. I'm trying my best there, John. Thanks for checking in, pal. I really appreciate it. All right, so we got that stump out of the way. Boy, they sure are stubborn, aren't they? All right, we've got a few more holes here to dig for the Hostas, and we're going to wrap up the excavating part of this project and move on to getting the mulch installed and top dressing this and making this look real nice. Okay, a couple of weeks have passed now. I had to pull off the project for a little bit. That's why everything's so dry looking. Went out and got some erosion map, some weed map from Lowe's or Home Depot, one of those big box stores. And I'm just going to pull it over top of the plant. We're going to trim that in. I called in an order for 5 yards of mulch to be delivered. So while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and get the weed mat in place. So out of respect for your time, let's kick this up to about 7 times normal speed. But I wanted to show you how I do it. I just lay it on top like that and cut around those plants. And then I'm going to put a bucket over the plant, put my mulch on top of that, and then remove the buckets, and that should work out well. We're going to go back and visit this 16 months later at the end of this video, and I'm having a little trouble with the raccoons. They like to dig underneath that weed mat where it's moist and get insects out of there, so we're having some compatibility issues here. We'll work through that. All right, so here's 5 yards of steaming fun, boy. I love working with this stuff. You know, delivery was very reasonable. Now that I have my own dump trailer, I'll haul my own in the future. You can see why I call it steaming fun, how it comes off of there. But I really love the richness of this, that deep color against the green plants and the green hillsides. Love working with this stuff. So one final trim around the plants. There you can see the buckets. I'm going to put those underneath there. Put the plant underneath the bucket, I should say. I was really surprised when I pulled the bucket off here towards the end. You're going to see that how quickly those plants warmed up. Now I put a couple bricks on top of the bucket because I thought the bucket may tip over, and I eliminate that step going forward. The buckets are just fine. My thought here is to drive on the erosion mat fairly square and not turn my front wheels, so I move the mat. And I think that's going to work real well for us here. So I'm just going to put the mulch on, and I'm going to put it on pretty heavy. I bought 5 yards, and you're going to see I buy another 5 yards later in the project. But I put it on probably at 4 inches thick on an average, maybe even thicker. But I want a nice thick coat of it. And then I'll just be able to rake that and freshen it up once in a while. The distance from where the camera is to the end of the blacktop there, the project length is 70 feet. And we've got 2 sides to do. And soon we'll go on the other side of the gates, and the total length is 150 feet. Alright, so this is coming out quite well. It's so darn handy. I can drop that mulch right there and hit it with a loader and drop it in where I want. It works perfect. So now I've got a little bit of hand rake work to do, and I don't mind that at all. It's pretty light. I like moving it around, and this is what I was talking about, how this mulch transforms boring landscape into a nice, rich, deep color like this. Just enjoy working with this so much. And you can see I'm putting it down quite heavy. That's okay. Here we are done now, so I'm going to take the bricks off. And again, I was surprised when I tipped the bucket over just how much heat was in there already. Just love that contrasting color, don't you? And there's really not much left to do here. The bucket kind of protected it, and I'll pick a few leaves up that may be buried, and little hand work around each plant, and it's done. I'm working alone on this part of the project. My wife had some other appointments and couldn't do this, so finished it up here myself. That's why the camera work's probably not as good. And it just takes me a little bit longer to get it done, but appreciate your patience. All right, it's time now to start on the other side of the gates. And we're going to run out of mulch here as the day's ending. I'm going to order another load, and that'll come tomorrow. So I'm just going to dump it in here, and it's working out pretty good. This wasn't planned, but I'm able to drive over those plants, and the spacing seemed to be right. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, if you ever build a set of gates, get very good bearings. Look at how easy that gate swings. I bought very good bearings. Those gates are 20 years old, and they swing like the day they were built. And good bearings will extend your actuator life also. Well, we're done for the day. We're out of mulch. Let's call it a day. We'll get up bright and early the next morning. Let's take a drive down, and we'll see how far we got. The next load of mulch will be here soon. Well, it's coming together, isn't it? We got everything done on the right and halfway up the left side, so all we have to do is work on that large area there to my left. One thing I wanted to do, since I got away from this a couple of weeks, the ground got hard and crusty, so I'm going to take the hoe and just break that ground up a little bit, and that'll allow me to rake off some of the dirt chunks and some rocks that were left behind before I put that weed mat down. So we're just going to go along here and break that crust. Then we'll hand rake it, and then we'll get the erosion mat down. All right, there's what that looks like, all scuffed up. And I'm just going to take a little more, take the rake and a little more hand rake work there. But again, I don't mind doing this, getting those clods and rocks out of there, and getting that ready for the weed mat and watering. And it's turning out nice, I think. Another quick review of how I put down the erosion mat. Just trim around there. Doesn't have to be a science project. Just get around them. Now I need your help. Listen to that bird. Does anybody know what that is? Let's listen again. That bird is around here all summer. I think it's a pretty bird. If anybody knows, would you help me out and tell me what it is? I have no idea, but I sure like it. All right, so we've got a good start. The mulch ought to be here any minute. We're going to give everything a drink of water. I don't have any water down here, so I just bring it down by a big tank that I put in the back of my side-by-side. All right, 5 more yards of fun just showed up, and we're going to go ahead and get started and finish this project up. Using the buckets again, you'll notice no bricks this time. They're just not needed. Again, the spacing was pretty nice. I was able to drive around the buckets and get it over to where I wanted. There's some areas over to the far right I could not get to, so I just piled it up in the middle and again hand raked it down. They're raking downhill, so it couldn't have got any easier than that. Here I hit a bucket. That's the one thing nice about using plastic buckets. I just went over it. No damage to the tractor, no damage to anything. I didn't bury any of the plants. When I was all done, everything was where I thought it was, and when I covered it all up, it was fine, and then dug them out, and it all turned out well. Sure is convenient having the loader to do this project and having the pile of mulch right there to save my back and forth time. That worked very well. I'm going to go ahead and leave a little bit more loader time in here. Some people like that, so let me know if you think it's too long or just about right. Also want to take the time to ask you to subscribe if you like the video. Please subscribe. It helps me out, helps support the channel and the analytics with YouTube. It gets out and gets seen. Seems since COVID ended, the numbers are going down and it's getting harder and harder to compete with the big channels. So I really need your support. Really would appreciate it if you would subscribe. Doesn't cost you a penny, and trust me, I won't bore you. I only get a video out about once a month or every 6 weeks. Never use your information for anything else. Alright, it's about time to start wrapping this project up here. This is what I was talking about before. I'm going to just dump some big piles in the middle and I'll hand rake that down. Here I'm going to move a bucket so I can get in there just a little bit further. I never ran over a plant during this. That worked out real well. Didn't lose anything. All right, let's start bringing this project together and to a close now. Boy, doesn't that look nice? I love raking that stuff out. That looks pretty professional to me. At the end of the project, I'm going to report a $400 project cost. Oh, and there's a reminder that total length is 150 feet on both sides. Last thing I have to do here is just blow it off with the backpack blower. And I'm very happy with this. Very, very good. Very happy with this. I really think if I had a landscaper come down and do this, it would have been a couple $1,000. So I think the tractor's earned a credit of $1,500. All right, let's drive up the driveway and take a look at how it looks from a vehicle. Oh, by the way, those gargoyles, they're plumb for water, and that's one of my next projects. To put a flower pot down at the bottom and have that gargoyle squirt water into it. That'll be fun. Over there to the left's where my security camera is going to go. All right, back up at the yard. Let's take a look. It's all grown back in here. I'm putting some compost on it. Grown real good and thick and happy with it. Let's go back 12 to 16 months later. You can see I've plowed snow, so I've got some pebbles up there and rocks. And it just needs a hand raking to get that color back. But the plants themselves have come out real good. Hey, I wanted to remind you, when you check in and tell me where you're watching from, I have a map in my office that gets a flag at your city, as well as the computer program. Hey, you all have a great month. Take care, be kind to each other, and we'll see you later. So long, everybody.